Well, hello, and welcome to the inaugural Ernest Sandeen Memorial Reading here at the University of Notre Dame. My name is Joyelle McSweeney, and I'm Director of Creative Writing in the Department of English. We offer courses open to every undergraduate of any major, as well as special concentrations for English majors and a Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing. That's all these handsome people here. So we welcome all of you to check out our courses at creativewriting.nd.edu, especially as registration for the spring term is just around the corner. Please come check us out. So our program tonight is the brainchild of my colleague, William O'Rourke, handsome gentleman in the green tie, and was orchestrated by William, myself, and program coordinator Colleen Cooper. Our evening is sponsored by the Creative Writing Program, the Institute for Scholarship in the Liberal Arts, the Higgins Labor Studies Program, and the Center for Social Concerns, the Richard and Catherine Sturdivant Endowment for Excellence in English, and most importantly, and instrumentally, the Ernest Sandeen Fund. So tonight's reading by Philip Levine and Christina Pugh is the first in a series of biannual literary events which will honor our Emeritus Professor, Ernest J. Sandeen, who taught at the University of Notre Dame for many years and also served as the chair of the Department of English. Sandeen was a respected poet with publications in Poetry Magazine, The New Yorker, and the Iowa Review, among other venues. He is most fondly remembered on our campus for his generous and humane gifts as a teacher, approaching teaching as a kind of exemplary hospitality. Indeed, Sandeen's poetry is most remarkable for its human scale, for taking the reader into the hospitality of his voice. His poems catch the poet in a small, discrete moment of illumination, no less mundane or less miraculous than a match being struck or a candle coming alight. And yet, with his poems, he seems to cup his hand and offer this small flame to the reader. This humaneness and this hospitality, sincerity, and generosity of Ernest Sandeen's teaching and poetry are also reflected in the fund set up in Ernest Sandeen's name, which support not only this reading series, which we inaugurate tonight, and I'm so pleased to see you all here to help us do so, but poetry prizes in the Department of English and a book prize given by the University of Notre Dame Press. This in turn explains the structure of our reading tonight. To memorialize our colleague, we ask a poet of major distinction to come and read at Notre Dame. And we also ask this poet to select a younger poet whose voice he or she feels should be heard. And they invite this poet to read alongside him or her at our biannual event. So tonight, our inaugural honoree, Philip Levine, has chosen the Chicago poet Christina Pugh, and he will introduce her reading in a moment. And this brings us to the second purpose of tonight, not only to memorialize Ernest Sandeen, but to honor Philip Levine. So after our friend Christina Pugh reads, then I'll get up and say a few witty remarks, and then Philip Levine will come to the podium, just so you don't get nervous in the middle of things. So anyway, to rewind, here we are to honor our friend Philip Levine. Phil Levine's prizes and distinctions are staggering, and they're also Googleable. So I won't recite them all here in detail, but you know the highlights: the U.S. Poet Laureateship, the Pulitzer Prize, the National Book Award, the author of upwards of 30 books. But I'm going to say a little bit instead about why we, specifically, the people in this room, need Philip Levine's voice and his poetry so badly. We are the poets of the Rust Belt. It could be said that the figures who moved through Levine's early poems, the so-called angels of Detroit, the laborers, the sufferers, the endurers, the resigned, the disbelieving, the enraged, the welders and the butchers and the drivers and the singers, we could say that these are ghosts who move among us here in South Bend. Or it could be said that they are vivid and immutable in Levine's poetry, and instead we carry their imprint. We are their ghost inheritors, the eidolons of labor. We move uncertainly through that ruined landscape. As we consider our own poetry and that which we teach and read, we should think about its connection to the economic systems and structures in which we are embedded. And we should remember that it's Levine's speaker who is really the tenacious ghost, the tensile material, the responsive angel, the acoustic trace, the listener, out all night in the storm that we call progress. What transfers to his speaker through his encounters with fellow humans, with their pain, their experience of beauty, their bluntness and coolness and casual profundity, configures the striking shapes of his ragged wings and body, that is, of Levine's body of work. At once surreal and familiar, tender, inflamed, intimate and cosmic, urgent and irreversible. From the first to the last line of a Phil Levine poem, there is no turning back. The terms of the poem are irreversible. In this, they resemble life itself, and it is in this that they are able to stand up to life's irreversible conditions and make a shape of human invention, part dream and part steel, which endures. Even when the human may perish, it's the poem that says, "Not this pig." To introduce the poet Christina Pugh, please allow me to welcome to this podium U.S. Poet Laureate and Detroit native, Philip Levine.